Before I start this video, I just want to preface it by saying that I have a very noisy neighborhood. We don't run our air conditioning, so my windows are open while I'm filming. So if you hear trains, birds, or my neighbor's annoying children, I'm sorry. Hi friends, it's Liv, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about 5 Netflix shows that are absolutely binge-worthy. If my computer can not run out of battery, that would be super. So like I said, today I'm going to give you 5 shows that I binge watch, most of them in a day. I know last week I made a video about things that you can do when you're broke during the summer. Something I didn't mention is binge watching Netflix. So if you watched that video, didn't find anything you wanted to do, would rather just binge watch Netflix, this is the video for you. So let's begin with number 5. Number 5, obviously, is Stranger Things. If you haven't seen Stranger Things, what in the heck are you doing? For those of you who haven't seen it, it's basically about kids exploring this kind of alternate universe called the Upside Down in order to find their missing friend, who then ends up being kind of like possessed by this demonic monster kind of thing, and there are gates they have to close so that the monsters can't get through and hurt them anymore, and there are people that are getting possessed by it, and they're on season 3 right now, which is really good, and I'm literally in the middle of it, so no spoilers, I'll actually like fight. Aside from the plot and the 80s aesthetic, I really love that this is such a beautiful coming of age story kind of series because you follow the relationships of the characters as they grow up. When it starts in season 1, it does follow 4 young boys, and then now they're in season 3, there are girlfriends, there's this and that happening, new friends come along. Overall, it just really seems reminiscent of childhood. The acting is amazing, especially for how young they are. The writing is incredible. This show deals with monster mysteries, government kind of conspiracies. It's funny, it's well written. Overall, just I know so many people watch the show, but if you don't, you should definitely get on that. Number 4 is Sex Education. You guys, I loved Sex Education. I think I finished it in like 2 days. It was so good. This story basically follows a young man whose mother is a sexual psychologist of sorts. I think she was a sex therapist, to be honest. And this kid is like a mega virgin. And he basically becomes friends with this girl in school who's not very widely liked, who's perceived as incredibly sexually active. And they team up and start a sex therapy business for people in their school. But it's hard because he's giving the advice, although he doesn't really have any experience. This show is funny. This show is cute. This show has some dry humor and some good one-liners. It's incredibly well written. The acting is great. I absolutely fell in love with the main girl, Maeve. She is honestly such a badass. Overall, I just really love this show. I think you guys should check it out. It's aesthetically pleasing. The storyline is great. It's entertaining. Big fan. Loved it. Okay, now moving on. Number 3 is a show that I really love, but I don't think that it got the hype that it deserved, to be honest. Controversial opinion, I don't know, because I think personally that it's so amazing. So number 3 is called Atypical. It's about a young man who's in high school, but he's autistic. And the show kind of deals with him navigating the world of high school relationships, friendships, and how his family copes with it as well. It's a very family-centered show, and you really watch how the family dynamic can totally change once you have someone on the spectrum in the family. You see how the mom is just obsessed with it, and it's ruining her marriage because the dad just wants her to get over it and just deal with it in better ways. It really makes you feel what the characters feel, but since it's so family-centered, it's very heartfelt while also being funny and kind of humorous at the same time, which I really enjoy. Overall, it's just a very entertaining show. I finished season 2 in a day, and I'm honestly so excited. I really hope there's a season 3 because season 2 left us with a cliffhanger. Another thing about the show is that at the end of season 2, there is a little bit of LGBTQ representation, which we love, and it kind of adds some interesting dynamic to the show, which is why I can't wait for season 3. Overall, this is just a very family-centered, heartfelt, feel-good kind of show. You feel what the characters feel. It's very eye-opening, and I strongly, highly, with every fiber in my being, recommend you guys watch this show. Number 2 is arguably my favorite one, but I couldn't obviously put 2 in the number 1 spot, so this had to make number 2 just because I like number 1 a tiny bit more. There's like literally a bird screeching, like, should I screech back? Like, I don't know what to do in this situation. So number 2 is called Trinkets. It's relatively new. I think I only watched it like a few weeks ago or like a month ago or something, but it follows these 3 girls who have nothing in common at their high school. They don't talk to each other, they do not get along, but they become friends through a Shoplifters Anonymous group because all 3 of them kind of have their own issues, and so they all shoplift, so that's how they ended up in the group, and they end up becoming friends. This is another one of those coming of age shows that deals with their family lives, their personal lives, their relationships, their school lives. But I really do like this show because it's so true to life. It covers so many issues that teenagers face. It covers pressures with school, it covers social pressures, it covers relationship abuse, and the show is so diverse. The 3 cast members that are the lead roles are all different ethnicities, which is so cool. And they're all so beautiful, like literally, I'm straight, but like, yeah. This show is funny, heartfelt, has diversity, has LGBTQ representation, and overall it's just sort of like a different concept for a show. Like I didn't even know Shoplifters Anonymous was a thing. Is it even a thing? I don't even know if they made it up for the show, but either way, this show is so good, you guys. Aside from being a good show with a good plot line, it also has an amazing soundtrack. Like the soundtrack in of itself just made me want to watch the show even more. I actually have a lot of songs on my monthly playlist on Spotify from the show, so if you don't follow my Spotify, go ahead and check it out in the description box below. And yeah, this is another one that I just finished in a day because I couldn't stop watching because it was literally so good. Like so good. And the top number 1 spot is The End of the Fucking World. This show, you guys, is so good. This is the first Netflix show that I finished in a day. I literally could not stop watching the show. It's so amazing. It is based on a comic book, and there's only 1 season of the show because it ends where the comic book ends, which is kind of a bummer because I really wanted a 2nd season, but I really don't know if they're gonna make one. There's a lot of online speculation about whether or not they're going to make a 2nd season for this show, but it doesn't look like they are right now, unfortunately. Like, so unfortunately. Like, it's such a good show. I watched it in a day. I made my ex-boyfriend watch it in a day. My boyfriend now watched it in a day. It's so good. Basically, this show is only 1 season, but it's so worth it because it follows a kid who runs away. He kills a guy, he has to stay on the run, and he's doing it with this girl that he wants to kill, but he ultimately ends up falling in love with. Sorry, is that a spoiler alert? I can't even tell anymore. This is another coming of age story because you watch the characters kind of grow up and make decisions, and you see how their relationship kind of changes. When I was watching this, I absolutely fell in love with the characters because they're just so good together. Their dynamic is so good together. The acting is amazing. The writing, you guys, the writing is so funny. Like, it's got this dry, dark, twisted kind of humor, which I love. And aside from that, it's another one of those shows with a really great soundtrack. I don't know really how to describe the soundtrack. It's sort of like there are some songs from like the 50s, and then there are some newer kind of indie songs, but it just adds to the overall kind of aesthetic of the show, which you have to watch it to understand what I'm talking about. Like, I can't even describe it to do it justice. I remember when I was like watching the show, I thought there were 10 episodes, but there were only 8. And I was so bummed when I finished episode 8 and there wasn't like 9 and 10, like I wanted to cry. Before I wrap this video up, I just want to say that an honorable mention for top 5 is Big Mouth. For all my friends out there who love raunchy, crude cartoons, I absolutely love Big Mouth. It follows a bunch of preteens, I guess, going through puberty, which is such a funny concept, especially when you throw in stuff like the hormone monster and them dealing with relationships and family, and it's so funny. Keep in mind though, if you're like kind of sensitive, this probably isn't for you. I grew up watching things like Family Guy, The Simpsons, American Dad, Bob's Burgers, all that fun stuff. So needless to say, I really enjoyed this show, but if you don't really like that kind of raunchy humor, then it's probably not for you because that's literally all the show is. But I absolutely love Nick Kroll in the show. I love John Mulaney in anything he does more than I love myself. Like, I would die so that John Mulaney could live forever if possible. He is honestly a man too good for this world. Like, I love him. Anyway, that is my Lifestyle Tuesday kind of video. I hope you guys loved it. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my videos from last week too, because I'm gonna link them in the description. Maybe. I'm known to not do what I say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you can check out my Fashion Friday video that comes out on Friday. It's gonna be a good one. So I will see you guys then. Bye.